So actually, in the process of implementing the Dionysus, which is the main agent in my interface, he sits here and chats there. Hide the chat. Um, so, in order to avoid a bunch of API costs, what I'm trying to do is instead of uploading my documents through Claude Code, oh, error reading file, instead of implementing through Claude Code, my app right now, all the functionality, the knowledge base and semantic parsing and all exists locally. So what that allows me to do is to use my local LLM. I'm using Llama and DeepSeek and Quinn are the three that it gets to choose from. So it's doing all that chewing locally. So I upload my documents to my local server, and it gets processed, dissected, made into passed through working memory, some attractor basins for conceptual filtering. Uh, it creates each interaction as an episodic memory, sort of narrative form. So sort of like I am interacting with this user. That allows us to create the history of the interactions. Um, so I'm actually putting this here just so that I can watch later when I have amnesia as to everything that has been put into this piece. Um, but so right now I'm actually working on creating Dionysus and having that agent tap into all the backend code. At the same time, I have an active inference model of subjectivity and sentience using Metzinger's model of um, Metzinger's self-modeling theory, which also has a minimal phenomenal self. So I'm using that as the agent's semantic space of identification, his identity, his narrative center of gravity, to use Dennett's phrase. Um, that also sets itself in the integrated world model theory. So um, there's an integrated world modeling theory, active inference. What else is in there? SOHM. Not the expanded one, not the active inference one. Um, that one, top one. Duh. So basically, it combines the global neural workspace, which I also use in here as an active, as an inner screen model. That's in another video, but that says right there with free energy principle, active inference. So solving the hard problem and characterizing agent causation. So using this and the POMDP, partially obstructed Markov decision process, that together allows me to have this Dionysus agent have a sense of, based on how confident it is about the answer, um, it has where there's a sense of self-efficacy, and subjectivity is made up of self-efficacy and there's another aspect, affectivity. There's probably other aspects, but hold on, let me find that article. I like, therefore I am, I think is the article. In case you want to go digging. Body inference. Oh, no, that's not the one. Body inference, or I think therefore I am. Considers, no, that's not it. That's a neuroimaging. It's a self-esteem article. So I just want to, I don't bookmark this one, I'll do that later. I overthink, therefore I am, an active inference account of through self-efficacy. I like therefore I am, that is what it's called. Ah, that's an EPUB. You know what? Epistemic value, active inference and intentional behavior. I'm serious. I like therefore I am. Let's put self-esteem in here. It's a really good article. I think this is it. Feeling our place in the world. Download full text. So this is what implementing looks like for me. I actually have in the structure, there's a GitHub library called Deep Code that basically has implementation. Yep, self-esteem and active inference. Self-esteem and active inference. That's not the exact article, but formalizing the self, self as self-prediction. That's Metzinger's SMT, social predicted self. That's not it, and I'm giving up. Okay, I'll go find it later. What was I saying? Ultimately, all these articles you're seeing is why I chose to use active inference and integrated world modeling theory, because most of the major models are in alignment with that. So the goal with that is to have this autobiographical memory that the agent values as a good container for its there we go. That was what I was looking for. Self-efficacy and affect. I like therefore I am. Boom. It was right there on the side all along. The role of self-efficacy and affect in active inference of allostasis. So long story, less long. You're looking at a core model of homeostasis, which is resting state, and allostasis, the disturbed state from which the agent has a certain amount of belief that it is able to get back to homeostasis, so it doesn't die, disintegrate, evaporate, whatever. So, so the stress, what is it? There's this idea that cognitive effort is equal to the amount of energy it takes to move from the belief of where you are now, that model, to the belief of where you like to be, the your safe state, so, because there's error related negativity in, is that in the EEG, yeah, as well as the error in the prediction, and whether you decide, this is raw geekery, but if you actually read up on this stuff, it's pretty cool. It's like the center of this. So you either have active inference, which is like downward causation, or you have perceptual inference. I think perceptual inference is when the information error is big enough that your reality gets bent by the outside. So external locus of control. So returning to the point, the main thing that I wanted to point out was that you're looking at self-efficacy and affect as sort of the core up high things that help you in your self model. Boom. So that's where I am beginning this Dionysus, which is the agent that exists within my chat box. That's where I'm beginning him from. So that was a lot. I know. So I probably should put a chapter marker there. Less explaining, more implementing. Okay. The information that exists in my vector database and in my graph database, which I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, is accessible through my knowledge graph. This is assuming my knowledge graph maps to my graph database. Can that information be used by you in the process of developing Dionysus Consciousness and the active inference model I'm going to be feeding you to supplement our existing knowledge of active inference? So let me know you understand the question and answer the question, and let me know you understand my intention in asking the question, for which you can use the deep code intention inferring code. Got it? This motherfucker probably think I'm boring as fuck. And my wife thinks the same about this stuff, so there's that. Okay, it's actually implementing up here. And this is Claude Code, by the way. And Claude Code embedded in Warp. this is where it is. In terms of work, that's my to-do list. Integrate deep code procedural memory and affordance system. So I'm using deep code has an intention recognition or intention inference system for pattern matching that I have the system, any input gets filtered through that. In addition to that, I also have deep code also has a paper to code. They may not call it that. There might be another library that calls it that. But either way, my procedural memory is implemented as code, so action. So what you're seeing here is that, therefore, the procedural memory interacts with an affordance system. Affordance is being perceived opportunities for action within the representation held by the system. Okay, let's see. All right, so it's pulling up the models it needs. Okay, cool. Let me check how many total documents and create direct verification. Okay, more specifically, the way the knowledge, the graph database is supposed to be implemented is that the concepts are connected, allowing for causal reasoning, relational reasoning, stuff like that. Okay, so if he found an error, good. Let me fix that. My expectation is that you're able to use it with my guidance to run specific code and manage the results. Just like you should be able to here make a decision by using the meta theory of thought system for actor critic dynamics with questions that I ask you. So, going back to the question, okay, I think you might answer. Okay, so I can get rid of going back to the question. Yeah, so a lot of the implementation is actually stuff I put in the code for us to use, him and I to use, developing. Initially, at one point, I tried to interact from within Dionysus, so I would use a good morning command. I have a shell script that when I say good morning, would recognize it and run a bunch of initialization. But that got kind of weird because I didn't know when I was talking to like the Claude agent or my agent and or Dionysus, and that got weird. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to implementing and less narrating. Okay, good. Okay, so will I be able to upload things to the local um, version of this code, of the Dionysus code, and based off the information that gets put in the database, point you to that concept set, and you'll be able to implement based off that knowledge in the associated code base that is extracted from the knowledge structure. Yes or no? Perfect. Yo, that's crazy, right? So that's sort of Dionysus. I'm putting some aspects of it in that pretty interface. Where is it? Here. But ultimately, I'm interacting with it directly through here. Where was I? In Warp. Okay, the complete knowledge graph integration specifically handles concept relation mapping, causal relating chains, procedural knowledge extraction, code generation from knowledge structures. That's beautiful. Upload research, point me to specific concept set. I implement the code base on the extracted knowledge on that extracted knowledge structure. That's fantastic. Upload to local Dionysus through the concept connections. Graph database creates causal relational. Perfect. Okay. When I provide you links, actually, better question. Can I provide links to Dionysus, and those links, the information gets extracted into the database and therefore is accessible to you? Okay, you gotta be funny about it, shit. Content extracted, fantastic. Okay, is there a way in the interface that I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna just give it a set of links and papers. Okay. So this is Dionysus Flux, your bionic mind. So some of the features are not implemented yet, so just ignore that. Is this the latest version? Because let me shut this out because I want to make sure I got the latest version. It still says electron up top. Yeah, I don't tend to go back and edit video because some consumed in here. Let me get a clear plan of action. I need to upload all the documents. I need to tell it to make sure I'm working with the latest version. Okay, I decided I'm not going to ask them, I'm just going to do it. Can you launch the latest version of the app? I see a couple of also, can you document and commit? Can you document and commit? Okay, the latest version includes complete active inference dynamics engine, knowledge graph integration with your 86 research documents. Good. Decode procedural memory system. So the version I send to you, assuming I'm talking to like my actual alpha, pre-alpha testing team, like my early testing team, doesn't have all these papers in there. It just has the code. Because basically you'll have to put your own knowledge base in there, but there's also a search feature similar to Perplexity where any documents within the search, you could either by virtue of pulling and rendering the document, it learns whatever's in the document, and can later tell you the new information in that document if you choose, as opposed to what you already have in your database, because that way you don't have to keep reading the same concept 8 different ways unless you want to. Okay, back to thinking. Upload documents and generate code in your knowledge base. Okay, let's see. And generate code from your knowledge base. That's my favorite feature, dude. That's crazy. All right, so this is the chat. I don't like the way that's done there. Okay, so I'm gonna upload hella documents. So at the root, download. Group by date added, it already is. Okay, which one is that? That's the electrical engineering article. That's not what I want. You know what? This is the one I want. Self-esteem and active inference. What else? Deep self models, others' minds. Yep, and the challenge of psychedelic-induced ego dissolution. That last part is extra, so bonus. That EPUB article, I'm not going to be able to upload. Let me see which article it is. Did it display? Did it do it really fast? I got to upload another article to make sure the showed up. I'll do this one. Yep, it's just ridiculously fast. Okay, so recent uploads. What's this? The knowledge library. Okay. I'll have the interactive graph of the knowledge, all documents, insights, new output. No insights yet. There's an insight database, but it's not showing up here. Document, not showing the document either. Ignore all these bugs because they're implemented, just not in here. So the interactive graph with the knowledge connections. This is where you navigate prior papers tied to this document. Okay, so my desired outcome was to feed it these links. That's like therefore I am. Now let me paste. Error away. What is locking it? Is my other tab locking it? Let me shrink this. There is no other. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. That's doing that. Are you locking the Git repository so that other systems can't get to it? Other agents. Are you locking the Git? Double check that you don't have it locked. I know this is not the way to implement multiple agents, y'all. I'm supposed to have each one in its own workspace, and I'm still working on that habit. Sure. Let's get to the bottom of the. No. Okay, so it did commit. I can't copy and paste links into Dionysus. So obviously I refer to it as Dionysus or as Flux. It was called Dionysus. I thought that was a lot to say for a browser. Let me check straight down to see why the link. Search, input text, output mode is content, hit limit is 20. Yeah, I found this crazy root cause debugging tool where you ask it why isn't this working, and then it'll like find the root cause. I only found it yesterday, so I haven't used it that much. Make sure you have both copy and paste available. Proper link detection. Literally told me you had it. Literally just said, hey, uploading documents is the same. Once it does this. Implementing clipboard. Copy keyboard shortcut. Control key, meta key. Okay. Control. I guess E meta key. Control C, Control V. Okay, good. Good. That should do it. Perfect. Let me refresh running Dionysus app to apply changes. Something I got a detour for a bit because can we get rid of the main view upload document? That's unnecessary. So let's get rid of that and allow the chat to be in the main view, which also allows us to get rid of the hide chat button. because the chat would just by default be the main view, and we could work out the rest later. I have to go to class zone. Okay, so the latest version, did it open it for me? Let me crash this one out. Can you open the latest version? Okay, so I'm gonna have this serve a different function then. Okay, idea. Let me interrupt it. Escape to interrupt. Instead of getting rid of that scroll button, let that scroll button be the mechanism to showing the document history. So when they click that button, it will take them to the document history view. And you can expand it. When they scroll it again, that'll shut down the document history view. Each item on there will be able to open up to a view of the document, but it'll be our custom interactive view of the document. It'll be the same screen that, that's for later. I don't want to overwhelm it. Get rid of this. Get rid of that too. Let the scroll button be the mechanism. Call to the left. Okay, this is gonna work. Okay, so it'll do that. This is the latest version. We'll take it. I can't remember what I came here for. A little section with the chat interface in the main view. Convert chat expand button to document history toggle. Create document history view that shows uploaded files. Also, can we have it that the document, the Dionysus remembers its state, all aspect of its state, so that when they open it the next time, it looks exactly how it did when they closed it? And of course, that means in our top menu, I want a view element, like a view high level menu, and the view should be able to keep a list of the different views they can have: document history, main view, chat, just all the views we have. They should be able to access them through there. And I don't know whether it'll be more helpful to have them able to navigate between our preform views, or to be able to add views to the main view and configure it how they're comfortable. That works better. It'll tell me that way. It'll tell me if it works better or not. Okay, let's see. I'll write some of this. Make sure I don't have a meeting that I'm plowing through. Customizable view configuration system. Yeah. Actually, can we put those on the task list? I think it's task.md. in the configuration file set, and check up on that part too, because I don't want him thinking about that. Our highest priority tasks are stepping through this interface and making sure this initial onboarding experience is effective. At the same time, I'm in the process of uploading some files to you that you will be using so we can create Dionysus core personality and cognitive dynamics. Can you look to see, there was a study, actually 2 studies, that you can use to infer the state of mind of the person you're interacting with. In addition to which, there's the Centaur AI model and the weights from their results that I'm going to be passing through our main database, and you can let me know if that's available. I just remembered that. That's important enough to do now. Well, sort of now. That's Marcel Binz that did that work. Marcel Binz. He called the data set Psych 101. There we go. Foundation model to predict and capture and feed it that paper. What's cool is it'll try to implement it too. So download the document. It's a preprint on the dial. So that one. Foundation model. That Centaur is too big. So if I decide I want to play with it, I would have to put it, I think on Google Collab would work. I need to reach out to him actually to let him know I'm using his data set. Wait a minute. Storage is too big to display, but you can still download it. So example, geometric objects, your task is to learn. Okay, is this the test set that it was trained with? Okay. Okay, that is Psych 101 database. Okay, did I download it? Because I'm going to feed it to the machine. The machine can figure out what to do with it. I don't need the models. So Minotaur is the smaller one. Yeah, I'm going to ask him if it's any value in. Okay, cool. That's good news. Okay, so Minotaur. Sorry, y'all. I'm kind of wandering in my imagination right now. I could use ChatGPT's agent probably to implement Minotaur. So Minotaur is the smaller version, so it's not as accurate. You can find an example notebook here. It might be that I could just clone their notebook. When in doubt. Okay, there's 2. I didn't know it could be 2. It's just a little piece, I think. Okay. I think instead of that, I can implement it locally and it can run it when it needs it. Okay, I asked them to get rid of this, so hopefully the newest version. Boom, there we go. So this would be the chat. So we should be able to paste links now. I guess let me get one and see. I'll come back to this one and hand it to them when I'm doing the training that way. Feeling our space in the world, an active inference account of self-esteem. That's one. I like the 4am. I can get that as a PDF. I trust the PDFs way more. Listen to our self-esteem, active inference. I don't know what that one is. Okay, I like the 4am, and I can, therefore, I like both self-efficacy and affective, and affect and active inference of allostasis. Cool. So that goes to Dio's personality also. Because essentially, part of his confidence I want anchored in ability. An active account. Do we get that one? Feeling our place in the world. I think that was the one we just did. Was it? I like the 4am. No. Either way, I'll just double it and it'll just got it. Okay, it's right there. So let me close these so I don't get swamped. Okay, leave that open for possibly later. Filling our place in the world. Got that. Active reference account self-esteem. I overthink, therefore I am not. A typical sense of self and agency and depersonalization disorder. I will not introduce the machine to mental illness if I am what I think. Okay, this is also Frisk's work, so I think if I am, I know what I think. Okay, so it's revisiting all this, which repetition, the way the tractor basins is set up in my core, like working memory, which is context window, I guess. That one's good because it'll explain. Uh, uh, I'm thinking that this might help it create a sense of self and the kind of the ability to like realize when it doesn't have. This is relationship stuff, so I don't know. That's a deep end. I'm gonna back the fuck away from there. You know, like that since undergrad. Okay, alter sense of self and agency. Indeed, you know what? This is the full article. I think this is worth having it in there if it's available. Yeah, view PDF. Yeah, I mean they're sitting local on my drive, so it's not like it's background knowledge. It would be a good idea for me to have it move the files when it uploads them. Okay. The role of self-efficacy and affect and active inference. I feel like FCNIR 18, FCNIR 112 EPUB. So save that, but apparently it's an EPUB doc, so I need to replace it with this one, if possible. Download full text PDF. Okay. Yeah, because the version I got, well, you heard me, so I don't have to repeat my thoughts because I'm speaking them. Therefore I am. Okay, so there'll be some overlap in these concepts, but this is a flow article. What's good about this is that article introduces, in context, Metzinger's self-modeling theory. So let's see, make sure I'm thinking about the right article. Command F, Metzinger. Yeah, heavily refers to Metzinger's work. Yeah, epistemic self model. Good. I think there's a narrative self model as well. So pre-reflective self, self-awareness. Okay, so we can use these. Good. Yeah, with the flow state, there's self-awareness and the separation from. Yeah. So yeah, the way I've organized this core code in Dionysus, once he sees something, it becomes episodic memory. Then the repetition creates categories, which basically semantic memory. Oh, that reminds me. I need to put that representational redescription in here in this context. And there's memory decay also, so reference an epistemic value. I want to put the exploit explorer. The memories decay. So if you're flooding this thing with concepts, if they're not linked back through the relevance, like whatever articles you're talking about, none of them disappear, by the way. So search always has access, but in terms of what's sitting in the active the attractor basin, the recent patterns, basically, the recently activated archetypes memory. Okay, so that's another thing. Also, if you could look at the implementation of working memory that I have, I believe it has like about 7 items, and the implementation of episodic memory, specifically the constructs used by Nemory, N-E-M-O-R-I. I believe one of the things it tries to do is map and mirror human event segmentation, and I think this will be useful when creating the theory of mind. As so, part of the composition of theory of mind will be the narratives stored in the episodic memory series. Also, if you look at the working memory, there's a paper in here called Events in Memory Cache or something like that. And I'm pulling these up right now so that you can reactivate those memories. There's a script for that. So you can reactivate those memories and bring them into this context so that not only will Dionysus have them in the active basin, but we'll be thinking with them as part of what we consider. Okay. It's messed up is sometimes I get following one of the thoughts in my head because it expands, and then I have no idea what was the original part. That's why I'm glad there's a task list that could dump stuff to. I said memory. Let's see, implementation status, view menu, complete with drop down buttons, all required function implemented, state management, full local storage based persistence. Good. Document history panel with real document loading, testing, ready for user testing. Good. Data. Okay. And state inference and studies when available. And the interface will provide the effective onboarding experience with complete state persistence as requested. Good. I'll examine the human working memory, episodic memory, particularly focus on the memory constructs for human event segmentation and the events in memory cache paper. Let me search these components and reactivate those memories. Good. Working memory events, memory cache. Sorry, I'm sure that's irritating, but let's look at the enhanced memory episodic transferring working memory architecture. There should be articles about working memory as attractors. Embedded in the working memory and event cache article, there should be a discussion of visual working memory. I think it's visual spatial and auditory working memory, as well as the overriding executive. And they introduced the extra E, which is event memory and cache. Find and activate events in memory cache from theory of mind narratives. Perfect. Implement customizable view configuration system. I don't remember that part, but yeah. So right now I'm caught more in building its brain. All right, so back to, there's a active inference and epistemic value. Friston, I think that's it right there. So what else? I'll activate again for the theory of mind. I'm gonna need, what's it called? Phenomenological opacity, transparency, metacognition, mental action. That should pull up the document towards the computational. There we go. And download that. So this one, this paper has the 3-layer model of attention to sensation, or like sensory input, attention to the attention layer, and then the attention on top of that is the meta awareness. The meta awareness allows for, well, metacognition, as well as, I think, HOT, H-O-T, higher order thought, which reminds me of something else I need to add in here. So, but this is an active inference based model as well. I'm gonna need to think about this as well, because, I've never seen that one. Towards a formal neurophenomenology of metacognition and meta action. Good. That's gotta be new. Okay, let me geek back a bit right quick. June 2020, okay, all right. Capacity to access, monitor, and control aspects of one's mental operations and central cognition. Okay, so the explicit meta-awareness model is good. The voluntary control of attention through covert action. Covert action is mental action, y'all. Let me tell it how to map this. There's a paper I'm going to be uploading called Towards the Formal Neurophenomenology of Meta-Awareness. The purpose of that paper is to look at the 3-layer model that is in the other paper. That's the other paper. Towards a computational model of meta-awareness, I think. So essentially, you can use this as a 3-layer system, and it's active inference based, so you can use it as part of the hierarchical model with downward causation and upward error detection. Okay, so did we download a copy of this? Let me send him this. I need to start uploading some of these papers so he can start thinking. Okay, this is the latest interface. Grab these. All right, so it's in DO. So I'm just gonna redo all these. I don't need the EPUBs. Let me grab multiple. Yep. Open. Let's see if he's still fast. Yeah, show all of them. So I need him to have a multi-part list. Towards. Can you check to see if the set of documents I just bulk uploaded showed up? I would like, when there's bulk documents, for there to be multiple concurrent uploads going on. So I don't really want to put a max on it. I want multiple concurrent uploads going on based on the number of selected files. Okay, that's another thing. Active inference. Narrative. Because it'll provide the larger structure and allow him to understand me better. Okay, did we put the temporal models? Because we need that for narrative. I'm amazed by the amount of stuff Friston has managed to put out. Okay, the resulting active inference scheme for Markov processes has been applied to a variety of domains. This paper active inference to the next level and considers hierarchical models with deep temporal structure. Good, that's the narrative structure. Form generative models that entertain state transitions or sequences over time. So state transitions, I think that's policies over mental actions. Here's what's crazy. God, I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. Because you can't state transition into something that you don't believe in, because literally you're talking about representations of belief and meta belief, beliefs about beliefs. So that's the whole believing is seeing type of thing, where mental action is about moving from state to state. So the state that you're moving across is a belief. So it's not like room to room. It's you need to step into something, and if you don't have a belief, then you don't, which you don't believe, you can't step into it. So because you can't step into it, you can't create it unless you do some epistemic foraging. Unless you during explore exploit mode honestly is like any type of scarcity or what is it, greedy algorithm, greedy choosing. I don't remember the exact details, but they're relational, not relational, reinforcement learning. So I got this, got that, got the narratives active inference. Make sure there's not understanding explanation active inference. This one is important for explaining hippocampal playback, which has been implemented with active inference. Anything that's implemented active inference, the system will kind of tag it on once I tell it. Narratives active inference, avoiding narrative fallacy, optimize. That beautiful loop. This one. And I've already uploaded these, but again, if you pass something through the basin multiple times, it keeps them fresh. It's like a study session. I don't see. Oh, right here. Blind. If it's a snake, it'll bit me. Brain is full of old statements. And you're in my, programming time. So my prefrontal cortex is like in the code. So whatever else is coming out just does. Okay. I'll go one more and see. Physics, metaphysics of social powers. Oh yeah, power dynamics. Is it downloadable or are they gonna try to get me to pay? Okay. All right. Power operates across multiple scales from physical action to complex dynamics. Okay. I'll just read it through the digest. Convincing narratives are not fabulations. They feel right to decision-making agents because the probability is assigned to them. I mentioned that to my wife. This study she's working on. Okay, am I going to be able to get this? If not, no. If not, I'll try this way and then I'll let it go. You know what? I should let it go either way. It's not worth it. Shared pretensions. The emergence of shared pretensions, bridging the phenomenology-temporal structure. The experience of time passage or what? Let's see. I need this bigger. Command plus. Okay. Yo, Husserl be hurting my feelings, y'all. I remember when I was like first getting into phenomenology, that was one of the first sets of books they pointed me to. I want this as a theory. I want this pseudo. But yeah, that was one of the first sets. That they sent me to, and I remember it was tapped out. That was 15 years ago. Yeah, around 2010. Yeah. So I tapped out. I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. I need this one for intentional behavior because I need to model on that. Active inference and intentional behavior. Yeah, so this is my process. Grab some papers. Application to what? Okay, is this active inference? I need to see how multi-agent deeper networks or belief networks are implemented. If there's a model, probably I got that. I think I already gave it a copy of. And the scope and limits of passive AI. Is this a full article? Yeah, let me check this abstract. Yes. There we go. I have a curiosity engine implemented in here. Linking fast and slow. That's cute. Okay. Video. Hopefully it's on YouTube so I can just get the transcript. Yep. Let's see how this thing handles YouTube.
C'est un plaisir de...
Model. Shit.
Hey everybody, Tim Miller from the Bulwark here with my buddy Marshall Brand.
Okay, so I better call first.
C'est un...
All right, processing. I'm going to give that one directly to him because I want to make sure it's processed right. I gotta check something. New item. Make sure the processor is implemented in Datalyst's pipeline so that it happens before Datalist. Including that preprocessor should be Google's Lang extract library, as well as some other libraries. It might also be where deep code is implemented, but please make sure the preprocessor set are there. It might be worth looking at putting I have a Markov blanket around Datalist. It might be worth embedding that Markov blanket in a larger Markov blanket that also includes the preprocessor set and putting them in a protected module, I think was what we did with the other one with Datalist so that other people wouldn't mess with it or access the parts of it directly. Implement downward causation, good. Implement customizable view configurable system, monitor for upload, meta awareness, and okay, let me go ahead and give it these papers. And close this one. I'm gonna ask him to give me the latest. I need to go walk, y'all. Can you launch the latest version of Flux? Also, prioritize the tasks. A lot of those aren't for the right now, so put them in the task list task.md, I think. Yeah, and I need to go walk a bit. I think it's long overdue. Use the meta theory of mind code to decide what order to implement all these elements that I've been talking about so that you don't lose track of them. Go back and review a chunk of the conversation we've had, starting with about where I start, giving you a lot of to-dos fast, and a lot of them may need to be itemized and then put in the task document, task.md. Okay, here we go. Updated task with 14 additional and 11 removal. Good. Okay, let's relay architecture. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm stopping the recording.